Greetings, everybody. We are seeing a game from the GEMPC. We are now in the round of 8 for the GEMPC. I believe this is the first game being played in the round of 8. Today is Wednesday, the 2nd of March. And these two players are some Europeans. We have at the top of your screen Silverglen, Mr. Justin Branch. He's the dark side player playing the "this deal is getting worse all the time" objective. And at the bottom of your screen, we have Miguel, aka tarkin84. He is playing the legend objective. They are playing game 1 right now. Game 2 will be at the same time tomorrow. We now that we are in the top 8 of the GEMPC, all decks were locked last Friday. All competitors had to submit one light side and one dark side deck that they are going to play for the remainder of the event, for all throughout the top 8 as far as they go. So hey James, thanks for being here. Thanks for promoting it on Twitter and everything. So these two players, these are the decks they have chosen to play for the rest of the event, as far as each of them will make it, with Justin Branch going for this the deal, and Miguel choosing legend. Now, talking about this match in particular, it's funny because I was talking about this deck the other day with a friend of mine, and we were talking about how it's good. It's solid. It's pretty good versus mains. It's good, except for legend. Legend is really annoying for it. Legend should beat it. In fact, legend is the deck you don't want to see most. Now, whether or not Miguel can capitalize on that remains to be seen. I'm sure Justin has a game plan for what he wants to do. But the problem I've found, and there's several, and is that legend typically has multiple different paths to victory in this. Whether that is going to their own Maz Castle site and Jakku system, and setting up a drain of 2 and a drain of 2 and a ping 1 with their objective and a ping 1 with BB-8 and a Rose, so they're nearly matching damage, and then going over to fight on Cloud City using the Destiny Adder, the Finn Destiny Adder, having General Leia suspend the Admiral's Order that caps you to 1, to clear out a bunch of stuff. That's tough. If Legend is packing Leia's gun, that's really tough. She can shoot down a lot of the walkers or ATSTs. And then, of course, there's the immunity cap. Once Legend flips, all immunity is limited to less than 5. And so the Executor really relies on its high immunity. And if light side can go to space and just clear that all out, dark side can be in a lot of trouble. They can't get kicked out of space. So the and we saw this matchup actually in the Outrider Cup. Bastion was playing Paul Myers was playing this for Darkside for Team USA, and Bastion was playing Legend for Team Europe. And Bastion just drew up a hand of like 20 cards, and then he laid down the Falcon and a bunch of pilots and Rebel Flight Suit and battled. And Paul didn't even play the command that he had. I think that was a mistake personally. I would have played the command, let Flight Suit cancel it, and then subsequent commands can go through. But he didn't even bother playing the command he had. So Bastion was just able to clear out a bunch of stuff. And that's, another path to winning is limiting that immunity and taking out the Executor. So Legend has multiple different ways, whether it has Leia's gun, whether it sets up a mostly race and then harasses, whether it takes out the ship. And I think there's only one path to victory that I've found for Darkside, and that is basically go fast, spread fast on the ground, go Executor, just just try and get in, occupation and obviously you want to pile the system. If you can get your ties early, that's huge because with the free executor effect, they can bounce back to hand and provide free forfeit. And the two of them give an extra destiny too. And so if you can get the ties, if you can get Barrack and another scout trooper up there, everything to just try and hold the system for a long time. But eventually light may still just wear through you. And then once you're down to just one pilot on there, you just run. And at that point, occupation will be canceled. But if you can just keep draining for 4 on the ground, I don't like his site placement. The upper walkway, because you can move from there to anywhere, you should put that on the end. So if you are ever playing this as dark, your downtown plaza should be in the middle between the two. But as light, you just want to, start draining for 4 and occupying for 3 as fast as possible and stay alive in space. And if you can get like 3 or 4 turns of that and then you run and then you can just be draining for 4 and sort of drain them out, that's your path to victory. But it is uphill. But I do think Silverglen is a more experienced player. He's been playing at a top level for about 4 years now, and Miguel sort of came on the scene about 2 years ago. So that may or may not be relevant because, this matchup in particular is newer. They both were on Team Europe for the Outrider Cup, and so they both, I'm sure, saw that game with Bastion. I'm sure they discussed the matchup with Bastion in their team chat when they found out that it was going to be Legend versus Steel. So they know how it should go. They know what the game plans are. They know how it actually went with Bastion. Of course, deck builds matter. If Miguel doesn't have the Rebel flight suit to cancel command, then the game can go totally different. Or if Justin finds an early sand card or something like that. So you don't ever expect 2 games to play out the exact same way, but they know roughly how it should go. So we have a comment in the chat. James, quick reminder to everybody, there is a Holo Theater on tonight. Dan is hosting with Anthony Howard, Batmouse, who is running this event, the GEMPC, and as well as Ryan Jellison, who recently won the Jawa Cup. It was quite a big event. I don't remember exactly how many they had, but somewhere around, I would guess 70 people, 80 people, something like that. It was a lot of people, and it only wasn't more because a number of people were banned from it if they were on the Outrider Cup team or in the OCS playoffs. But it had a huge number of players, and Taco Bill says 91. So yeah, that's awesome. 91 people. Ryan Jellison came out on top. And so he will be the other guest along with Batmouse with Dan tonight at 9 Eastern. So that is in about 4 hours. And and also Ryan is a member of Design and Development. So they're also going to be chatting about various D&D things. And it should be a good show. So we've got our first turns are now done. We have Justin on his first turn did an air attack. You can't do Executor first turn anymore because of the Goldenrod shield suspends. They must never again leave the city the first turn. So Justin basically knows if he goes slow, that gives Legend its time, like exactly what I was talking about. It's time to get all the cards it needs to attack and win the game. And like I said, there's sort of only one path to victory for Dark, and that's like spreading really quick, getting a ton of damage in, and then if it eventually has to run in space, finishing it off with just the ground drains. But if it's getting harassed on the ground, it can still get a space drain with Shirinu, and it can keep occupation out. So its ideal is it doesn't get challenged in space, but its less ideal is it stays alive in space and runs, and its worst case scenario is getting kicked out of space. But Justin knows he needs to go fast, so he goes turn 1 Guy into Walker, and it is eye roll. He does not get a destiny, but Dark doesn't want to, or Light doesn't want to waste their first turn deploying guys and battling and slowing down their game plan. So Light plays the battle plan shield and does its standard pull a sight, pull Luke, and draws and saves. And Dark, I think, Dark's only getting 9 force, so they didn't even bother to drain. They just sort of had that threat, force Light to play a shield, but Dark is really getting choked here. It looks like he missed his turn 1 Executor docking bay. So he had to pull the Cloud City docking bay, which either way that didn't contribute to him getting less force, other than mob points not being in effect there saved Light a shield not needing to pull. Don't do that again. And for that reason, it might have been, especially if he wasn't going to be draining, probably would have been worth putting the Tempest Scout here at the docking bay and forcing Light to pull. Don't do that again. Because then they can't, do something like aim high. I don't know if Justin has Imperial Enforcement, but if he does, getting free retrieval would be nice, that sort of thing. So probably should have put him over at the docking bay. Of course, setting up, he's going to probably Piet and transit over. So he'll have dudes at the docking bay anyway. So not being at the docking bay is nice right here because it might save him a force, but yeah, could go either way. Be with me allows Rey to deploy if a Jedi on table, not the other way around. Yeah, so if he had gone with Rey or something, Luke wouldn't be able to be deployed until she was killed. So yeah, getting that Luke out early is pretty key so that you can still play Rey. And yeah, so I think this turn, Justin is doing a force push. He's clearly going for the free executor effect. It's not really anything else you force push here this early. He obviously pulled executor into hand with mob points, or else he opening handed it. Let's see if his first action was mob points. Yeah, and it was. He took the executor into hand. So right here he force pushes and he gets free executor effect, and then pays 2 because of Goldenrod to play the executor. He does get the sand card, so that is huge. That's going to be really nice for him to help stay alive longer. Stacks a Thrawn and a free executor effect. So that's not bad at all. You one of the battles you'll take the Thrawn into hand, and that's a threat to come down and draw multiple destiny. I think Light. Well, it's really going to depend on what is in Light's hand right now. What sort of path they need to take. But if you're Justin right here, I think you want to set up another guy and maybe Walker and occupation, and probably you pop out Piet. Probably do Piet into the Admiral's Order and use the Admiral's Order to pull a Walker. You might even consider, in fact, what I would probably do here is Piet for 2. He's got 8 force left after this force push and executor. Piet for 2. Pull Admiral's Order. Use that to download Blizzard 4. Piet was 2 of your 8. That leaves you 6. Blizzard 4, that would be 5, and then 2 to pull a guy. You'd have 1. Since Professor's out, that doesn't work, or Goldenrod. So you probably just pull a different Walker. Maybe Blizzard's got 1. Yep. Okay, so he reveals Blizzard's got 1 from hand using air attack. He's going to pull, I assume, Barrack maybe. Nope, he does Arnett. Arnett gets 1. Arnett deploys free, so that's nice. Saves him a couple force there. I don't like Arnett going there because I would be setting up occupation right now. Unless he missed... okay. So he did try and pull occupation. That was the first turn. He tried to pull occupation, he missed, and he played Bespin from hand. This second turn, he tried to take occupation, and it also wasn't there. So, is he only playing 1 or maybe he has 2 and they were the bottom 2 card of his force? That would be weird and awkward. Clearly he doesn't have it, because obviously the better play, even if you wanted to consolidate them, the better play, because you move free from the site, is you drop it to the upper walkway, play the occupation, then move it free over here. It wouldn't cost you any extra force. So he missed the occupation pull, which is got to be annoying. And then, so after playing the Blizzard Scout 1 and the free Arnett and the free Ozzel, he draws 4 cards and then ends his turn saving 1. So he's got to have occupation now. So Light has 17 force, 12 in hand. Let's see what they want to do. I think unless they need all 17, clearly one of the things to do is pull your Maz Castle site, get some more activation going, though you do give up 1 more icon. Force choke against TDIGWATT is real. And once again, I don't really like Justin not being at the docking bay, getting 10 force instead of 12, especially because do or do not would not stop it now, because now you're at a system. So do or do not only suspends mob points if Dark is not at a battleground system. So I would be sitting at that docking bay for 2 extra force right now, even if it's 1 less damage, 2 more force to speed up your third turn is probably worth it. It's essentially if you flip it as a thought experiment and you say, if you're light side, would you lose a force to have them activate 2 less? A lot of times, yeah. Hell yeah. Like if you can lose 1 to turn off one of their Twixes, knock them from 10 activation or 12 activation to 10, you probably take that trade as light side. So if you're dark, you probably don't want to take that trade. You probably want to be over here. So I'm excited to see what decks we have for the GEMPC. Yeah, Taco Bill says I'd play that card in light side decks. Lose a force to take the activation away. Like you'd play it, and that card would be called Revolution, and they would shield it because it's so good. I guess Revolution is even better because you don't have to lose 1 every turn, and also this you wouldn't necessarily lose 1 every turn once he moves away or whatever, but also it gives you the 2 force instead of just taking it from them. But either way, it'd be real strong. Miguel's going for the race, it looks like. So he sets up Ray with Saber at Maz Castle and Falcon at Jakku. So he's threatening right now 4 damage, and Dark is threatening 3 this turn. And Light's going to retrieve 1, so net 5. Once Light can flip, that will add an extra ping, so that will be net 6. And BB-8. Miguel's got all of the stuff for racing. So that's why I said a little bit ago, it depends on what's in his hand. He had 17 force. So now he's set up to do drain 2, ping 1, retrieve 1. That's a net 6. Dark total, if they are unharassed, is going to drain 1, 1, 2, 1, 2 if Chiranu comes out, and 3 occupation. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9 if Chiranu's out. Light's doing 6 right now. So obviously, even if Chiranu's not out, 8 is greater than 6. So Light will have to do something to counteract that. But for the moment, Light's looking okay. Dark drains 1, and Light loses a spin from a reserve, and Dark drains 2, and Light top decks Hear Me Baby, and it could be worse. That's kind of annoying to top deck. So whenever you're seeing cards from your opponent, you should immediately be honing in on what build they're using. And as soon as I see it could be worse, I know other cards about Miguel's deck, right? I immediately know, 1, he's running 3PO. You're not running this card unless you're looping stuff, which means it's closer to a Bastion build than a Desai build. And that's Legend is like 55 cards the same. It's not a deck with a lot of creativity. But if you look at the Outrider builds for for Bastion and for Desai, they were very similar, but they were about 5 cards off. And one of the big differences was Bastion had 3PO and Puller, and it could be worse. And he had a few less duplicates that extra copies. Like I think he had 2 spins, and Desai had 3, things like that. He had a couple less duplicates for stuff like this. So as soon as I see this, I go, oh, okay, he's running 3PO. He's going to loop something. Well, if it could be worse is dead. Of course, it won't be, because Rose will retrieve it as long as Justin doesn't do another damage this turn. Rose is about to retrieve that. It could be worse. But I'm going, okay, he can loop It Could Be Worse, and he can loop the Female Interrupt. So I'm probably thinking about grabbing one of those, and that means I probably am not going to be grabbing Leadership. Or if it turns into a battle-oriented game because Light ends up dropping laser resistant transport with Holdo and puts Solo and Chewie on board here for an extra Destiny and flies the Falcon over, and now they're getting a bunch of Destiny, and I'm like, nope, this is going to be the game. I need to grab Leadership. Then maybe you grab Leadership and you let them loop those, but you should, as soon as you see this sort of thing, you need to make a very conscious decision about, like, what am I going to do with my grabber, first of all, and second of all, TDIGWATT often plays a second grabber in terms of something special planned. So you got to be thinking, okay, when I'm checking my reserve each turn, I'm checking to see where is that, and eventually looking for my second grabber. So Silverglen checks for a docking bay. There's not one in there. He's probably checking what can he match up with air attack. Is there an Admiral's Order that Piet can grab that he wants to use? Keeping in mind it's only going to be useful for a window of time because General Leia will suspend it at some point, very likely. Right now the activation is light side 17, dark side 11. That is a large disparity that you don't love to see as dark, but I imagine he will be at the east platform by the end of his turn, and that will make it 17-13. I don't imagine either player will play any more locations except Light will probably play the Black Sun Octo site, which will let Dark pull a shield, but it won't give Dark any more icons. So we will probably see 18-13 once that's pulled, and then once Luke goes out of play, it'll go back to 17-13. Here we have mob points, just boosted it from 11 to 13. Justin might even consider staying at both docking bays for a turn to boost up to 15. Likely the only spy in the deck is Jin, maybe a Corrin, but probably not. And so if you're holding a barrier like a Tempest Scout 6 or something, you might feel safe just leaving Piet for the 2 extra activation. Chiranu is going to come down. Justin really needs to get someone to one of the other locations and deploy occupation this turn. The other thing is Legend is going to put a lot less cards on table. So when we're talking a race here, we're already at... They're the same hand, and there's 28 in dark side, and there's 33 in light. So light is already ahead 5 cards, and they're about to do 2, 4, 5 damage and retrieve 1. So they're about to be ahead by 11. So that's a big difference. All right, so we see Gideon come down. He's going to download Trooper for -2. And I imagine that Trooper will, Occupation will come out for sure. And then I imagine that Trooper will move for free over to the docking bay to join Piet, and Justin will be at all 3 locations with Occupation and Chiranu out, basically threatening 9 damage next turn. If Menace Fades comes out, that'll shut off Chiranu, but there's no other 4-string bonuses that it shuts out. Oh, the other thing, when I was talking about what you grab and being worried about looping stuff, is free red, not free red, that too, if that's in there, escape pod combo, because escape pod combo just shuts off occupation damage. So if you get 3PO out and you just start looping escape pod combo, that shuts off 3 damage, 2 to 3, depending on how many sites dark is at every single turn. And so you have to have a grabber save for that. But if you grab that, then they can loop, it could be worse, and at least that cost him 3 force to shut off that damage. But the problem is you're not very happy to see this go off the top. You would if it was buried. You're not happy to see it in the deck, basically. Once you see it go off the top, you're like, crap. That means he's playing the build that has a 3PO, so he's going to be looping escape pod combo. If there's a free ride combo in there, you don't have enough grabbers to grab everything. So you got to basically hope that your round of 9 damage next turn will top deck and bury some of them, that you can grab the other ones. All right, so Silverglen is taking a long time to think here. After, okay, all right. He does he only play 1 occupation and it's the bottom card of his force or something? Why? I'm so befuddled as to why occupation is not on the table right now. He searched first turn and second turn, whiffed both times, drew all but 1 card last time. So it didn't get stacked on the... If 1 was stacked on the sand card, I would be like, oh, well, he must only be playing 2 That's really weird. He did. Oh yeah, Taco Bill says he shuffled his force pile last turn. That's right, because he did the force push. So that means it could have been used. But if it was used last turn, then it should have been in there this turn to take with the objective. So if it wasn't in there this turn, that means it's one of the bottom cards. If he's only playing one, which is weird. I don't know why you'd only ever play one. You should play two, maybe three. But anyway, he saves two. He doesn't draw them. So I don't know what's going on. So, but he does move the executor to block this drain here at Jakku. And the nice thing about that for him is if the Falcon runs, he will be able to drain 3 there because of Chirno. The downside is if the Falcon does run, you can't deploy Occupation next turn either unless you have a tie. Then what you would do is you drop a tie in front of the Falcon, play the Occupation, and then move the Executor in front. And that's cool. That's fine if he has the tie in hand. But does he have the Occupation now? I don't know. All right, so let's look at what happened. Light drains for 2. Dark top decks Tempest Scout 1 and Dreslozlin. And they use Rose to retrieve the It Could Be Worse. And then, oh yeah, they have the extra Ray retrieval. I wasn't counting that in the math either. So he uses Ray, and Hear Me Big gets placed out of play to retrieve the starting interrupt. I don't know. Oh, and then BB-8's going to do damage. I don't know why he didn't choose 2 5s, but maybe he wants to leave this in Lost Pile so that he can solo it. Dark top decks Enforcement to BB-8. Okay, so he is going for... he's possibly going for an attack. He's got Hera here. He might do a solo, and then he can solo a spin and draw Destiny. But, you know, Justin, I don't think would move in front without a command. And unless there's a Rebel Flight Suit, it's unlikely Light's playing Sense. So looking at the rest of the GEMPC top 8 schedule, match 2 of this, like I said, is tomorrow at the same time, 4 o'clock Eastern. I will be streaming that. I will have a special guest streaming with me, coming to join me live. Oh, by the way, for James or Taco or anyone else watching, is the stream working okay? I do see a little error that there was some frames dropped or something. And then I will be playing my top 8 game against Mike Kessling, both games on Friday at 1 Eastern. And then an hour later at 2 Eastern, Timo, Dylan on Jump, and Jeff Levine, who goes by Treadwell on Jump, will be playing their match just an hour later on Friday, both back-to-back. So there will be some overlap between those 2 top 8 games. Hopefully there will be streamers for both. And I'm a bit blurry, but the game and sound is fine. That's okay. I could unblur my face, but I don't want to get recognized. Cool. So yeah, so there will be some overlap between those 2 games. Whoa, first time chat from viewer Kenobi SWCCG. Thanks for joining us, Brad. Got the little first time chat alert. Okay, cool. Dan says Jared and himself will be covering those, so you guys will get to multi-Twitch, get the red box. Is that what it's called? No, that's the DVD thing, right? Or is that the porn website? What's Red Zone? That's the word I'm looking for. Red Zone, between the 2 different games. So those games, or Bill possibly. So we have at least multiple people. Jared, Dan, Bill. We will get all those games on Friday covered as well. All right. So light side, after deploying the Hera, just runs. I don't love Hera there because, I mean, I guess if you're worried about 2 ties coming down and clearing off Poe, you want the extra forfeit. But 2 ties would draw 2 Destiny and quite possibly crack a 6 anyway. So she just seems like a waste if you're just going to run. Where she could do stuff on the ground. Anyway, so Light just drops Hera and runs and draws a bunch of cards. They drew up to 16 cards in hand. He loses from hand, BB-8, Were You Looking, and Quite a Mercenary. I think that's fair. There's probably no undercover spies in the deck, because of this. Non-imperial character would make it lost. Therefore, there could be a Erica non-V, but there's no U3PO or anything. And then he top decks a sand card. So, and he top decks, and it could be worse. Did he? He shuffled after recirculating, using leadership to take Leia into hand. So that's the same. It could be worse that he just retrieved last turn. He is not likely playing 2. Yep, Dan, I did talk about the tonight's Holo Theater and who's coming on and everything. James mentioned in the chat, and I mentioned that earlier, but Holo Theater is in a couple hours on the PC's main channel. Justin has Resistance out. He pulls Detention, so Leia's Transport's going to have to pay 2 to pull a dude, and he gets Code Clearance out for Jedi Lev. Right now, I'm going to tell you the sticker keyword. Should have grabbed a water. The sticker, what do they call it? I don't remember what it is. Like the secret password for the stream is going to be Imperial Enforcement. So if you are into watching Star Wars content and getting prizes, and you want to fill up the sticker book with all the cool stickers they're mailing out, send an email to the place that you normally send them. It's like holotheater@swccgpc.com, I believe. But if not, if you're one of the people into the sticker thing, you probably already have done it multiple times. If you don't know what I'm talking about, message me on Slack and I'll figure it out. But or go, it's on the forums. But anyway, for those of you who already know what I'm talking about and know where to send it, your keyword today is Imperial Enforcement for the GEMPC top 8 stream. All right, so Dark, after draining and doing their damage, checks their reserve deck with Arrest Order and sees, oh, hey, there is a card that I want that is in my force pile, neato, and uses Tarkin's Bounty to take that card into their hand. I wonder if that card is going to be Occupation. And if Dark already has a tie in hand, because if they can drop a tie and Occupation here and move Executor over, they're not in bad shape. They're going to eat another, drain a 2, ping a 1. Oh, he takes Marek Steel to prevent the spin. So, okay. So this is an interesting line of play. I actually haven't looked at much of. What if Dark just chases constantly in space and never does Occupation? What's the math on that like? Dark is doing 2, 3, 4, and Light's doing drain 2, ping 1 is 3, but retrieve is net 5. So Light's actually doing more damage if that's the case. But if you can get a tie out, or ideally both ties, and then chase with the Executor as you leave the ties protecting Occupation, if Light cannot have enough stuff, especially because of the sand card, to fight the Executor in 2 ties, and so it has to run, and then the other ships in the deck, Leia's Resistance Transport, and maybe like a Profundity or Tanev or something, isn't enough to just beat both ties, then Dark might be able to just chase in space and have the math of Occupation and the drain sites, and potentially a system drain every other turn. That's that'd be big for Dark. All right. Dan just linked to the sticker thing in the chat. So if you are if you're watching this on replay later, make sure you have the little chat on the sidebar turned on. If you're watching the replay on Twitch, if you're watching it on YouTube, if you go to the Star Wars forums, under the general discussion subforum, there is a thread titled 2022 Best Virtual Card Image Sticker Book Prize Program, and you can go there and find out more details. Taco Bill says, chasing seems better than Occupation, right? Drains of 2/3 and preventing Light side from draining 2. Well, so if Dark just sat there and Light just sat there, giving up a drain of 2 to be able to do 3 Occupation damage, 3 is greater than 2. So it would be better to sit there. You're getting a space drain either way. I guess if light never goes to ground and gets ultimatum going, so you're doing basically 3 and 2, then you're doing, averaging 2.5 to their 0 versus averaging 3 to their 2. That's only up by 1. Or no, you'd be getting 3, 4, 5 if you just sat there. You'd be getting 5 to their 2, so you're up by 3 by just sitting there. And by chasing with no occupation, you are getting 2.5 to their 0. So doing the occupation and trading drains of 2 is better than chasing. However, if you can do both, obviously that's ideal. And he does use reach to pull Colonel Jendon. Light side does Ray, and Rose gets placed out of play in order to retrieve Odin combo. So Silverglen might have some ideas about if he can come down and cause some attrition and kill something here. And then Rose retrieves, and it could be worse. And then he drains for 2, Dark Top Decks Tempest Scout 3, and they must never again leave the city. And then BB8 does a ping of 1, and Justin Top Decks Barrier. To give, now Light's control is done. Checks their reserve with Luke, see what's in there. We right now with this chasing status quo, Dark's doing 2.5 in space and 2, 3, 4 on the ground, so that's 6.5. Versus Light's drain a 2, retrieve 1, ping 1, or retrieve 2, ping 1, so that's 5 versus 6.5. So Dark's definitely mathing more, but they've also deployed more. Right now, Light has 5 more cards in hand and 23, so they're up by 11 almost. Of course, they're about to deploy stuff, so but Light has a solid hand life lead. Feel like this is a precursor to an attack. There's no reason why you deploy this without battling. If he does, I mean, he could just be blocking a drain of 2, but I think your resources are better spent. So this dude cannot attack. Oh, sorry, they both can react. Yeah. I'm thinking of 4, not 2. Yeah, but I mean, because there's random lone guys at each of these, which I don't really care for, then you could, if you put guys at both places, you can battle at one, and if the other reacts, then you get to battle into the other one. So they basically, they're prevented from reacting by putting guys at both, by them having a lone guy there. So, like if you get Chewie at one and something at the other one, and you battle, you can't react away from Chewie, because then you just hit Ozzel and your power 6 to their 3, and they lose Ozzel in 3. Like, that's bad for them. So anyway, so Light deploys a transport and Holdo. They also played 3PO on the Falcon. And Dan says the stickers have some cool foil cards. He's going to show them off on Holo Theater tonight. And James has seen them. He says they look great. He's looking forward to putting them then on the deck boxes, which I don't know about you guys, but I just got, since I missed the NPC due to non-contact injury, I just had some deck boxes mailed to me for I don't remember what it was for, like Outrider Cup or donations or something. And they're super cool, and I will definitely not be putting any stickers on these because they would cover up this beautiful artwork. I need Chris Kelly to make some lightsaber sounds here. Is that what lightsabers? That's probably more blastery sound, huh? Bzz, bzz. Is that lightsaber? I don't really know how the lightsabers sound. They do like a buzzy sound, right? Somebody type a lightsaber sound in chat, quick. Anyway, the new deck boxes are amazing, but for your old lame deck boxes, these new cool sticker stuff will be fun to put on those and help make them less lame and make them cool as well. So Dark Light also deploys Anakin. Again, I don't like that you just... Light side just lost 3 cards to block this drain of 2. When really these resources could be spent on the ground. You could have blocked this drain of 2 with like Anakin and a dude. And then if he battles you, you get to flip, and then that turns on your ping for your objective. Will start pinging here, so Dark's taking an extra damage every turn, and you get the redraw going, which is amazing. Or you're forcing him to burn on sand cards, so you don't do the redraw. But if you did Anakin, Holdo, and someone else down here, or if you had saved the Hera, which I still don't love that play, and put her down there, there's no Admiral's Order right now, right? And you have the General Leia in hand that can turn it off. We saw him take Leia into hand with a leadership. So I don't like devoting these resources to space if you're not going to battle. So he didn't battle. Dark by now has to have a command in hand. They've got 2 sand cards. You're just going to pile all this stuff and sit there, and Dark's going, okay, cool. I'm going to drain for 2, 1 and 1. Now I'm going to deploy Occupation. I'm happy to sit here. If you want to sit there with your 17 power, me with my 21, okay, I won't battle. I'm going to do Occupy 3 and drain for 4. I'm doing 7. You're draining for 2, pinging for 1, retrieving 2. That's less. That's net 5 versus my net 7. Like, I'll grind it down. I'm happy to take that, because keep in mind, this is a disadvantage matchup for Dark. So if Dark can grind that down and just like take a very small win, they're happy. All right. But he didn't battle. He deployed all that, and he stood pat. And Dark activates. He drains at Cloud City, and Miguel loses a blaster deflection from hand. Drains at the upper walkway, loses a clash from used pile. That is something he 3PO'd down during the activate phase. And then 2 at the plaza, he top decks leadership and spin. Justin checks his reserve and doesn't see anything. And then he deploys Onyx 2 over to Jakku. So he may be trying to just sneak in an extra drain over here. If he deploys both ships and is like, I'm just going to sit here with Executor in front of you and drain for 2 over here. And now Light can't defend both of those. Where is Occupation? He can't be playing a TDIGWATT with no Occupation in the deck. Play Occupation. Miguel asked, does force projection work through sand? I guess so, as it modifies total. Yeah, it does. You both get capped to 1. Those draws cannot be modified. However, projection takes away from the total. I'm just gonna go crazy if Justin Branch does not deploy Occupation this turn. Like you don't. Okay, there we go. What? Darkside's turn 5 deploying Occupation is like their nightmare. But yet somehow he's actually in decent shape, because Miguel's not really putting any pressure on the ground. He's just giving him free reign to just spread, and that's given Dark enough time to like get multiple ships going too. He might even just keep the Onyx, Onyx 1 or 2 or Jendon, whatever it is, Jendon and Onyx, whatever it is, in hand, and save 4 to. Oh no, he deployed it. I lied. I was going to say it can deploy as a react, so he may keep it to just deploy as a react in case he needs to. But then, of course, we saw an Odin combo retrieved recently. Miguel could track that 3PO'd into hand and use it to cancel. But what's he going to attack Onyx 2 with? And that may be what Justin's figuring right now is, hey, there's a ship. What other ships are you running? Maybe a Tanev, maybe a Profundity, but it might just be those 2. And so, cool, I'm just good sitting here with just this 1 tie. And then he can do the same thing where he can like just leave 1 tie, and if Light moves over to Jakku, he'll move Executor and the other tie in front and just leave 1 tie protecting the Occupation. And that's another reason why wasting these space resources was bad, is because now you don't have them in hand to deploy an attack. Obviously, Justin Branch doesn't do that if the other ship's not out. So, yeah. Dan says, one thing is once Miguel flips, Executor's immune less than 5. Yeah, I talked about that at the very beginning, and that's true. There's a lot of fodder on there now, though. We've got a forfeit 5, 6, 5, so that's 16, and that's 6 that goes to hand. That's 22 that fodder right now, that even if he, you know, I guess his best case, the problem is he keeps top decking these spins too. His best case is like solo a spin for 6. It's only maneuver 4 now, so he does need to also get Han on there. Get Han, spin for 6 and like draw 5 and clear out like the tie and 1 character, and then the tie comes back down. That's the problem, is even if you're getting through sand card and using spin, if you don't use a spin, they just bounce the tie to hand. And if you do use a spin, you get the tie in 1 character. Like, you're not really clearing through it. Steel is out, so he can't even spin. Thank you. Yeah, I mentioned that when he deployed, and then I totally forgot about it. So he can't even spin. So all he can do, his best case scenario, is draw 1 destiny and bounce the tie to hand. Like this. So it was really useless going to space with all this crap when you're just going to be running. And that could be taking over ground sites, blocking a drain here. All right, so light, it's looking like right now dark is going to grind out a small win, unless light can somehow turn it around. Light drains and dark loses battle deployment and Tarkin's orders from hand. And then Rey places spin out of play to retrieve a spin, so she chose 2 spins. Rose, I don't know that I love that, because he could have just retrieved 1 free with Rose and then chosen other cards, but okay, maybe he wanted this leadership. Rose retrieves the leadership, and then we'll see 1 more ping off of BB-8 here. I really would have liked Light going to ground and battling, because then they flip and they're doing an extra damage every turn, and in a drain race every damage counts, and if he had already gotten 2 pings in from that, and there's going to be another like 4 turns, that could have added up to about 6 damage this game. And the longer it's going without that, the less that damage is getting. So, all right, he does Leia here. She's going to get in some retrieval too, which is nice. If he has Leia's gun, that would be really baller. He needs to deploy another dude here. He's going to want to grab trample, and hopefully he's found perimeter scan to cancel it, because as soon as Chewie comes down, he's going to get trampled. He's going to just eat a trample right to the face right now. There it is. Who could have seen that coming? We'll want to see a grab and hopefully a perimeter scan. The weird thing is Light only left 1 force in his reserve deck. Oh, no perimeter scan. That's rough. So Chewie dies. Will get retrieved once Leia battles. But if you battle, you may just want to block it so that Dark can't react. Because if you battle, Dark is power 14 to your 4. So you have a force projection, but you're way down in power. You needed that Chewie for power and forfeit. Maybe he can shuttle down Anakin. Yeah. So this deploys and moves like a starfighter, right? So so you can land it. Okay, he plays a Jedi lightsaber on it. That is a card I think Desai had in his deck that some people play in their legend. I don't like it, but reasonable people disagree. Obviously, Desai plays it, and Phil plays it in his version of Legend, and I don't play it in mine, so could go either way. I don't see it as worth it. So he does land Leia's transport, like I mentioned, and then he'll move the Falcon away there to block that drain. Dark now is free to play a command without it being grabbed, and he grabs Veers, so he's probably going to get a walker on Veers. Light needs to disembark those characters, obviously, and then we'll see them run away in space. Light has to remember it costs 2 to move away to a non-Bespin location, so they do have the force right now. That is should be on Miguel's mind. But right now, Light can just leave this tie and move the Executor, or if it has the extra force, could embark this tie, move the Executor, and then pay 1 to move this. It costs 1 extra force, and move this tie and just leave. Then you don't get to bounce the ship to hand. That's the only downside, is that only works at a Bespin location. But still, so maybe you even leave the tie without the other ship. Maybe you just move the Executor in front and put the 2 ties together, or whatever. Like, it doesn't really matter. You could even embark the tie, move over, and leave it embarked, and then just decide if you take it out for the extra power. It's your 26 power to his 9. So yeah, you move the other tie to protect it. You move that over, and all right. So now we see escape pod combo to turn off occupation. That's going to be instantly grabbed. Miguel was, unfortunately for him, unable to get Justin to grab anything else all game, like leadership. And so that will turn off the occupation damage for this turn, but Dark is still going to drain for 2, 1, and 1. So Light is going to eat 4 here. Right now, giving a hand and life count. Dark activated everything, so they are planning no battles. Right now, we are at 17, 18, 19. Light's at 26 hand and life, and Dark is at 18. Light's about to eat 4. So Light will be at 22 to 18. Light will be up by 4 after this control phase. Yep. Hey, first time chat from Dorsch. How you doing, Nate? Thanks for joining us. That is an instant grab. You are doing 3 damage with it every turn, and with 3PO on table, you can't let him shut down that damage. So he's been saving his grabber for that. If Light, I believe, did retrieve... Did they retrieve that? It could be worse again? Let's see. Yeah, they did. They've retrieved it could be worse twice. Now, they've top decked it twice and retrieved it twice with Rose. So there is still the it could be worse floating in there. If you are Light, you want to be tracking that and trying to loop that with 3PO, because that will help you immensely in the damage race. If you can spend 3 every turn instead of losing 3, you'll still be eating drains of, well, once Ultimatum comes out, 2 at either system, the one that you run from, plus 1 and 1 on the ground. Plus, if you can, then it could be worse the occupation. You'll be eating 4, and you'll be draining 2, pinging 1 is 3, and retrieving 2 is 5. So you'll be actually netting more damage if you can get that it could be worse looping. And more, you'll actually be mathing more if you can ever actually flip this thing. So Light's, oh, there's the it could be worse. He only does it for 1 because he just didn't have that much force. But he'll be able to track that now. You might as well save the 1 this turn. Obviously, if you had the 2 force, it would have been nice to use it for 2. But now he can loop that and hopefully save 3 every turn to be able to. He's going to start getting force choked as he has to, pay to move to run away, and pay 2 to run away sometimes, and pay 3 for the it could be worse, and pay 1 to retrieve with Way, and pay 1 to retrieve with Rose. So right there we're talking about retrieve, 1.5 to move, 3 for it could be worse. So we're talking 6.5 of your 18 force, and the it could be worse is one of the, so of your 17 force, over a third of your force every turn is just committed to that. However, if that's mostly all you're doing. Dark does go to block the drain, though, and so he'll still get the 2 retrieves and the ping, but he won't get the drain of 2 here. And the other thing is, without any fodder, you will be losing a Rose or BB-8. The interesting thing here, though, so this opens up some interesting things for both players. 1, Light retrieved Clash, I believe, so they can Clash Tarkin and beat up on Emperor. Another thing to note, Deal should not play Gick. The vast majority of the time will have 0 Gick in the deck. So you suddenly have a potential for a beatdown. If you can drop Finn, if you can hit Tarkin, or even better, if you can Clash him and then hit Vader, and then he's power 6 in a Destiny to your 12 and a Destiny, and your Destiny is +1 because of actually Sand Card will negate that, and you won't be able to Finn at her because of Sand Card. So that's kind of annoying.
Tarkin's not going to be able to add a Destiny because Array, whether or not, even if Dark doesn't sand. So Tarkin's mostly just fodder. So it is going to be tough to beat him down with the sand card out. But if you get, Finn, and you clash Tarkin, hit Vader, and your power, 12 to 6, he could essentially, assuming you draw equal, and you might draw higher because you've been 3POing, you make him peel 6. And you could even force projection his Destiny. So then, say you force projection whatever he draws and you draw 5, now he's peeling 11. You do need the clash, you do need, and we saw that lost from hand earlier, but then we saw it retrieved. So, but there's a potential for beatdown now. Dark consolidates, moves some stuff around. I don't love that because now they have no force available to react. They just wanted to be immune to this Jedi lightsaber, I guess, and not give up that drain. But man, if you're light, I'm probably going and battling at multiple locations. I'm clearing out. So because every one of these locations is essentially like a drain 2, right? Because it drains 1 and it occupies 1. So if you go trade any random schmo for Gideon, like if you dropped Jin, she could block the drain and you'd block a drain to 1, but it'd still occupy 1. If you drop Jin in battle and you both die, then she stopped the drain and stopped the occupation. And yeah, someone else can go there versus her permanently blocking the drain. But anyway, Miguel wants to remember to walkling before he gets too low in life force and can't really afford it. He wants to get into battle here he's going to battle with Leia. Like, even though you can't swing and hit something, it gives you the flip, which starts ping damage, assuming you're going to be able to drain. Right now, Justin has blocked all of the drains, but at some point, you're very likely going to be able to drain. So it will start the ping damage there. It will enable force projection, and you're going to get to retrieve with Leia once you battle. No Gick and Tig, not even as a combo as a bonus landing cloud. Nah, because why would you float one random card that you hope to find? You play Godhurt for landing claw protection, who is at least pullable with Blizzard 4 in a pinch. And I actually did that in a game at Worlds. I played Blizzard 4 and pulled Godhurt and shuttled him up. But floating one random Gick is just a waste of a card slot. In my opinion. I mean, I guess some people could play Gick and Tig. I never have, and I would be surprised to see it. Like, if they get a Docking Bay beat down early, like, that can happen, but in general, you just play around it, and then it's not worth having your floating one of. You shouldn't be getting overflowed between your reacts and your big power and just playing smart. Justin is having some connection issues. It says he left the room and joined the room. Vader is going to blank BB-8, so he does not get pinged. He's going to allow the retrieve because the retrieve costs a force, and the ping does not. So, and he also doesn't care if he retrieves this 0. That was all right. So we know the It Could Be Worse is the second card from the bottom. So he's going to Tarkin. Yeah, so we may see Vader get just crushed here. So he kills Tarkin. If he can hit Vader, and Rey gets +1 to her swings. Is that just in battle? Yeah, well, she's in battle. Battle Destiny draws and Rey's weapon draws are +1. So she'll get +1 to the swing on Vader. And if she can hit and outpower and then and flip and force projection the Destiny, Vader might peel a bunch here and Light might just have a big win. I think Justin going there was a mistake. So as soon as he played those, I was like, well, this opens up a lot of possibilities. And the reason why is, I was talking about a clash scenario or a sorry scenario or some sort of beatdown scenario. I mean, maybe one of his 3 cards in hand is Gick, and I am wrong about the build. In which case, going to block it is a fine play, but then also not sold on the Tarkin part of it. I think you do the Tarkin because you don't have a Gick and you want enough fodder and stuff. But once you do that, you're opening up to a Clash or Sorry beatdown. So Miguel's going to do some retrieve. He's going to get a Ray retrieve, a Rose retrieve, and then he'll get a Leia retrieve when he battles. He'll flip. Nate says, light getting a big win is tasty. Yes. Generally, it's dark seems better in the meta right now. And so if you are light, getting a light side win is nice. A big win obviously is nicer. So let's see if that happens. So I mean, right here, I think right here we're gonna see a battle, and Ray's +1 to the swing is gonna make it hard to miss, unless there's like a close call, maybe. A close call lost could save Vader's forfeit. I'm mathing. Silverglen decided to place Chewie out of play and let him retrieve BB-8. I was mathing with only 8 force. I was like, before I saw that he had chosen Chewie as one of the Rey characters, I was thinking if he pays to Jedi Lev and decides this is going to be the final turn and I'm going to stack it on that and give up my... Ooh, he didn't have any other characters in hand. That's a bummer. If he had Finn... So this isn't really going to be a very big beatdown. If he had Finn for 4 more power so that you were 12-6, that would be big. But I'm surprised he has no... I guess with Chewie dead, what other characters are in the deck? Solo would have been another 4. He couldn't have added Destiny because of Be With Me, but he would have been 4 more power. Who else? Poe's already on table. So we do see the Luke going out of play, light side flipping. Hi, Demonic Fire Lord. How's it going? Satura maybe, but he's only 3. Yeah, so Satura. Yeah, any character, any extra, I think is going to be overflow here as long as you hit Vader. He did just get a +1 power because Rey, she's power and forfeit +1 for each Jedi out of play. So we see Thrawn getting taken off the sand card. And I think we're going to see light hit Vader and then force projection their destiny. And they're hoping that their force projection destiny is higher than Darkseid's destiny, especially with the redraw. Seems a decent chance, so they don't lose anybody. However, if they have to lose someone, probably after the force projection, BB-8's 4 will cover it. And we did see a BB-8 retrieved this turn, so he can 3PO back into it, but then it'll be off the table for a full turn. So that's annoying. He did not retrieve with Rose. And he did not retrieve with Leia. I don't like either of that. I think he was deciding, I don't want that 0 in my deck. I would have taken the 0. Take the 0, retrieve with Rose, then retrieve something else with Leia. It would have been worth spending 2. Like, I would have activated a few more. He's not even going to be able to get down to the... It could be worse for the occupation, right? If he had activated a few more... Ooh. Finn. Okay, so he Jedi loves it. Oh, maybe he's going to battle over here, too, so he wanted an extra destiny over there. And there's Admiral Satura. So that's a 4. So he needs at least a 2 with Rey adding. All right, and there's a 4, which becomes a 5. So Vader is hit. That's a 9. If he had close call, it would be a miss, but he does not. So Vader gets hit. And let's see. So right now there's 4 destiny there. I think what you do is you draw your battle destiny, you force projection, that's 2 of them. Then the top card is It Could Be Worse, you 3PO, and then you battle at the other site and you draw your last destiny. And you just 3PO in between the battles to get your It Could Be Worse into hand. What? He just 3PO'd now? Did I miss track? Or was there other cards? Huh. I'm not sold. I think the top card right now. Yeah, force projection does modify the total.
And luckily, it only modifies the total battle destiny, not power and whatever. Because like Barak can make them fall negative. You know what I mean? Like not a negative destiny, but it subtracts from power and attrition, meaning that if you draw a 2 and Barak draws a 5, your power minus 5. It's essentially like a -3. Yeah, there's the. It could be worse. I think Miguel mistracked. Whereas force projection doesn't do that. I think it's a lot more fair. They just make the destiny 0, but Vader's still 6 if he worked the same as Barak. So it's going to be Vader and 7, though. Yeah, Miguel just said, totally mistracked that. There was the it could be worse. He did totally mistrack that. I don't know how, because he used one and played it could be worse. It was just a second from the bottom. I don't know what he was thinking, but we're seeing Dark Peel. We see Occupation and Thrawn from hand. Taco says, not a terrible mistrack because he can lose 1 off the top and then 3PO. Not if Occupation is the first thing done, right? Right now, if you're branch, the first thing you do in your control phase is go lose 3. And then do you have 3 other ones you even want to lose on top of it? Like, you have to make sure not to lose that, but it is a terrible mistrack. It costs you a whole turn of paying 3 to reduce 3. So Dark Peel's a bunch. They are at 0 in hand and 10 in life force. Light is at 20 in life force and 3 in hand, and they are about to, after they run in space, Ultimatum is out now, they're going to eat a drain of 2, 1 and 1, and 3 occupation. So that's 2, 3, 4, and 3 occupation is 7. So they will be at 13, but then they'll retrieve 2, and they're about to do extra damage. Now they're going to drain 2, ping 1, retrieve 2. So off this one location, they'll do 4 damage and retrieve 2. They'll be netting 6 off of one location. That's not absurd, right? It's totally fair to do 6 damage from one location. That was, I think the argument against TTO for a long time was like, why are we letting them? And that's why Relatively Unprotected was made. Yeah, Dorf says, I've opted not to draw Destiny versus Barak or Bright Hope. Yeah, because they do it in the more, I think, unfair way, in that they can essentially make your net negative. If you have a low and they have a high, like, it's better to just not even draw Destiny because it's going to be reduced to 0 anyway, and your power will be lowered. But force projection, there's no downside to drawing it. Obviously, it's a lost interrupt versus the other ones too, so you force them to lose a card, but also you can't fall negative, quote unquote. I think you battle here and retrieve with Leia. And you trade like a Anakin for a dude. Yeah, okay, there we go. Retrieval is good. I think he should have retrieved 2 more this turn even. I think he should have 2 more in his life force if he had retrieved with Rose and retrieved with Leia in the first battle. Of course, I think he's maybe only battling retrieving here because he's like, hey, I don't really need the force because now I'm not going to spend 3 to reduce by 3 with it could be worse. So he still could theoretically pay 2 to reduce the space drain. But no, he'd have to pay 3 because Ultimatum is capping it. It is a drain 3 with Chirno, so he'd have to pay 3 to reduce 2. But he could still do that if he saves 3. One moves the Falcon, top decks to Occupation, and then 3 POs, and then pays 3 to reduce by 2. That'd still be worth it. All right. So here, I think clearly you lose the transport and keep the characters. You're not going to need to fly up and challenge again. You're just running in space. It's fine. That's what you're doing. You're not ever going to challenge Steel and, admirals and massive power. So you lose a transport. Dark decides the sand card. I wonder if they're doing that because they want to tempt Light to battle in space. Oh no, I was going to say tempt him to battle in space and then, not necessarily this turn, but soon, and then command. But they have no cards in hand. Now they have 1. They must never gonna leave this city. I think Justin Branch's reason for taking that is, hey, I massively outpower him. I have plenty of fodder. Even if I'm not capping him to 1, he's not going to be able to battle this turn. And then it's 1 extra card in my hand for this damage race. So now, though, do you keep the ship? It's an more interesting question, but probably not. You probably still lose a ship. This is now 3 destiny though, which is pretty interesting because you have 4 ability. Hera's adding 1, Poe's adding 1. 3 destiny. If you draw 4/4/5 and you get 13 attrition and you clear out 2 things, of course you'd be power 22 by that point. He's 24 in a destiny, so you're going to be down by like 5 or 6. You're going to have to lose a dude. You do have Finn in hand now because he Jedi leved it. So Finn can react. I might leave the Falcon there and just be like, hey, I know the 1 card in your hand. He runs the Falcon. Okay. I know the 1 card in your hand. I'm going to eat a drain of 1 instead of 2. And if you battle, I'm going to react with Finn, who's going to be my fodder. And if you have the Finn adder in hand, you go, hey, come at me. I'm going to draw, let's see, it's already 3 destiny. Finn adder would make it 5 destiny. You go, all right, cool. Like, let's go. Let's see. Thor says, I mean, they probably aren't going to have another battle where they need to limit in that 1 card for the drain race. Yeah. I mean, I think he probably does need to limit in space. If I were Miguel, I would have left the Falcon there, and I would force the issue now that Sandcard's dead. But he did take that one for the drain race. So Dark activates. They save 1 in reserve, which I'm not sure what they're thinking here. Unless it's like a high destiny they want to be on top in case light battles into them next turn. What destiny would it be? Wouldn't it be the first thing he drew last turn, which was like Blizzard 2? The Vader destiny? Was there something in Darkseid's use pile before that? I don't remember, but I feel like that card is probably Blizzard 2. So I don't know why you'd leave that one. Well, and it's probably just going to get lost anyway. Maybe he just left it there so that it could get lost and he doesn't need all his force. Threatening, like, oh, I'm going to battle you, when clearly he's not. Alright, so Dark does a bunch of damage. They occupy and Light loses leadership. Sorry, and force projection off of deck. Then he drains straight Jakku. He loses Jin. Off a deck, projection from hand, and then he 3POs. Let's see if he tracked correctly. So the leadership was the 1 force he used to move Falcon. Sorry, he drew for Destiny at the Cloud City battle. Force projecting, he retrieved for the Cloud City battle. Jin was the 1 force he used to retrieve it. And no, then he had 1 force that he needed to pay to battle. And that was what he just 3PO'd. So I think there should be a... Oh, no. Okay, he did. He did track. It could be worse. Oh, he battled free because Anakin. So that's why. So usually it could be worse just for 1, which is unfortunate use of it. If he hadn't mistracked, he could have used it for 3, and he'd have 2 more life force right now. That costing him 2 differential, that mistrack. So Dark just moves around, and Dark's just trying to grind down damage. Light's going to retrieve 3 this turn between Rose, Rey, and a Leia battle. If you also... I would be coming down with Finn and somebody on top of Moff Gideon. I mean, hopefully, and somebody. But and then you battle with Leia and you retrieve and kill that, and then you battle over here and retrieve. Like I would be getting in as much Leia battles as possible right now and retrieving and. I also probably would not bother to move the Falcon. If you don't have the force. Okay, so he shuttles down Piet and puts him on Tempest Scout 2, which is fine. I'm going to still battle here. I'm still going to retrieve, and then I'll battle somewhere else once you can't react anymore. So if he has the force to move the Falcon, yes, but he just needs to keep in mind it costs 2, and the it could be worse is he'll need to save 3 for that every turn. All right, so I think you want... If you're only battling here, you can just activate all but 2 and 3PO into the It Could Be Worse and use the bottom card for your battle destiny. However, if you are going to battle at 2 locations, then you leave 3 and you battle 1 and then you 3PO between the battles and then you battle with the other one. Nope, but he did. He activated all but 2. And... Oh, and then he activated the last one. Why? I think that's bad.
I would take the free lay of battle, and you trade Holdo for Piet, and you get to retrieve one. You're very happy about that. Basically, trade a character for a character on the board, but you get a card back in your life force. Like, I'd be happy with that every time. And that's, and obviously if you have another character hand besides Finn, then Finn and somebody could get in a second battle and a second retrieve. So we're going to see, let's see. Dark's losing a bunch because we have that, what was it, net of like 6 at one location. Drain 2, ping 1 is 4, retrieve is 6. So Dark loses 4, Light retrieves 2. Right now, Dark is actually doing more damage, especially since Light's refusing to battle. I mean, heck, I would even be battling in space just to retrieve, draw a bunch of destinies, and you like lose Hera, they bounce a tie to hand and lose a dude, and then you run. Like, trading a guy on the board for differential in your reserve in match play is good. When right now Justin Branch is at 5 in life force and 2 in hand. He's at 7. Like, start trading away dudes on the board for life force, maximizing diff. Miguel is at 20 hand in life versus 7. So yeah, that Vader Tarkin thing was a big mistake. Peeling Vader. So, well, essentially he lost Vader, Tarkin, and 7. He lost 9. He made Light lose to Sorry. He prevented himself from losing to BB-8 that turn by blanking with Vader. And he blocked a drain of 2. So, plus he let Light flip. I guess Light probably would have flipped the next turn anyway, but it gave him a whole extra earlier turn flip. Oh no, because he battled on the same turn at both places. So the flip was the same. So he lost 9 versus 4. He lost 5 extra cards unnecessarily by deploying there. I guess he didn't see the Sorry combo coming or something. And he got lucky that Miguel had no other characters, right? If Miguel had Finn in hand there, he would have peeled 4 more. So Falcon moves. I don't like that he didn't battle on the ground. But right here, I would go ahead and move Anakin and block this drain of 1. But no, he doesn't. I don't know why he's not maxing diff. I guess he's just happy winning. Because next turn he's gonna only do 4 damage, and Silverglen's at 7 hand and life. So he's still alive for 2 more turns, which is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 14 more damage he's gonna take. Light's gonna win by like Justin will draw up. He'll get 1 more turn to retrieve. 20, 14, 6, 7, 8, and maybe a battle, 9. Light will probably win by 9. If played correctly, I believe. All right, so Dark does a bunch of damage. Oh, no. That's minus the it could be worse. So 12, 15 maybe? It could be worse as big. If he's only draining 2, 1, and 1, he's doing 4, and Light's retrieving 2. Of course, at some point he'll draw up. I wonder if he's thinking that right now. Walkling was popped at some point. Miguel's just losing from hand, which is smart. He doesn't know at what point is Justin going to draw up. Here he does go ahead and lose from used pile. I would have top decked. You just 3PO'd that BB-8 down, and him as a Destiny could be really useful if you're going to be battling in to retrieve. So having that 7. All right, so he does it could be worse the occupation for 3. And he's left with 1 in hand. I would have left that BB-8. You do want to keep the 1 in hand so you can get the it could be worse back mid-activate. Though you also could just not have 1 in hand, and you could just leave that as the top after activating and just, in your draw phase, take it back.
Right now, light is at 16 in reserve in life force, and 1 in hand. I think dark will be able to. I don't think dark should drop. I think they should do 1 more round of damage. It could be worse that, but they'll get in 4 from drains, and light will only retrieve 2 on their turn. Even if they battle with Leia, that will be 5. Even if theoretically they battled also in space, you still will just match. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it looks like Silverglen might just drop. Yeah, he does. I don't think he needed to. But theoretically, if light, retrieves 2 and then battle, they retrieve 4, and then you do 4 the next turn, and then you drop. Like your net scenario, I guess, because Miguel has 1 in hand. Your worst scenario is you do 1 more, but I wouldn't count on light doing both or battling at both. I don't know. Okay. So light side wins by 16. Light has 15 in lost pile. Dark has 25 in lost pile. So we will have game 2 tomorrow. And we'll see what decks they're playing. It will be at 4 Eastern tomorrow. I will be commentating with a special guest joining me. So thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for joining and chatting. Nate and Brad and Taco Bill and Dan and Flamin' Monkey, Solid Snack, James, Dr. Lack, anyone else, Stimpy, anyone else I missed who was hanging out chatting. Appreciate you guys joining, and hopefully see you guys tomorrow.